And I got way too many feels, way too much emotion. I don't even know what's real. I don't need to get along with your best friend, even better with your family.
What's up, friends, and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be doing a Q&A. I posted a Q&A box on my Instagram story and I screenshotted the preguntas that you all gave me. Also, we are located on the floor of our office slash extra bedroom, which clearly needs to be organized, but the lighting in here is really good and your tripod right now is a little desk thing, so that's why we are where we are. But let's just get started. I would imagine this video is probably decently long, but I know you're on quarantine. You're at home. You need the entertainment, so I got you. First question, would you ever do a 24-hour water fast or longer? No. I think that's really dumb. We need water to survive. Do I like Lexi's current boy? Yeah, trust me. If I didn't like him, I would not allow it. Okay. Have I ever struggled with binge eating? So I wouldn't say like to a clinical degree, but the first time I competed, which was back in October of 2017, I struggled really bad for about a week or like 10 days post show, where I would like hit my macros throughout the day, and then at the end of the night I would just eat the kitchen. Like it was bad, but it was also like it could have been worse. I just got to the point where like I wanted a bite of this and a bite of this and a bite of this. And by the end of the night, in a matter of like, 7 minutes, I'm probably down to quite a few hundred calories. And I don't know. I think I just had to get it out of my system because, again, it didn't last for very long. But I finally got sick enough of my shit that I was like, yo, I cannot be doing this. And I pulled things together, but that's like the extent of my experience. So I do know what it feels like to be like unable to stop freaking eating and then you're miserable afterward. But again, not to like a clinical level or anything like that. What is more interesting, the ocean or outer space? So both of them blow my mind if I think about them for too long, because there's just so much unknown. But I think I've always been more fascinated with outer space. Like I really was one of those little kids that thought I was going to be an astronaut, just because like, bro, it goes on forever. Like what? If you've ever seen Interstellar, I love that movie. Watch Interstellar. So, okay, my answer is outer space. What are my current macros? So I knew I was going to get this question, and I don't, like, I'll tell you, I don't mind sharing, but of course I had to put the disclaimer in here of like, what works for me isn't going to work for you. Everybody's different. Like some people, yeah, they need like 500 carbs to grow. Some people can lose weight on like 200 carbs. Like it just, everyone is so different. But for me, I'm at 140 protein, 60 fat, and then rest days I'm at 275 carb. Training, I'm at 315. And before quarantine happened, when I could like still go push heavy weight on my leg days, I was at 350 carbs. Feeling wildly lost about what I want to do post-grad in May in terms of career. Any advice? So this is, obviously going to depend on what your major is, what you're getting your degree in, what profession you want to go into, and how you're feeling about it. I can tell you though, if you don't feel passionately about what you have in front of you, like the path that you are on, and you feel more passionately about something else, I'm always going to tell you to follow your gut. I know that's very non-traditional. I know a lot of people will have opinions about that, about like, oh, you go to school and you don't use your education. But listen, it's not worth it to do something that you hate. And maybe you like love the profession you're about to go into. I don't want to make assumptions here, but my advice is always going to be to follow your gut, right? Like trust your intuition, because that bitch will never lead you wrong. Like I went to law school and I am not a lawyer. I'm okay. It's okay. Like, yeah, student debt is a thing, but like, I'm not going to let that ruin my life, dude. Like it's so much. It is worth it to me to have that student debt and be doing what I want to be doing, making money, paying on my student debt, than having the student debt, doing shit I hate, and always wishing I would have went for other stuff, because I don't even want to say like, I don't hate the legal profession. I didn't like hate what I was doing, but some people do, right? And I just always in the back of my mind would have had that like, what if, like, why didn't I just go for it? Like, why? So I did. And here we are. So as far as your question, I think, again, it just depends if you're passionate about what you're about to go into. If you are, then talk to people who are in positions that you eventually want to be in. Mentors are very receptive and flattered when you ask for help or you reach out. I would just recommend trying to provide some kind of value to them, which I know is hard if you're like, if you feel like you're down here and the mentor's up here, right? Like you just coming out of college, like what could you possibly offer them? But again, they're pretty receptive and they like to help for the most part. So ask if you can meet for coffee, if you can just get some insight on networking, or if they're not available, if they could refer you to someone who could help you, maybe just give some insight on their job. Just like make it a very positive, uplifting, like helpful experience. Not like, hey, don't come from a place of like desperation. Like, I need help. I don't know what to do with my life. Can you tell me how you did what you are doing? Right? I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. But if you're not passionate about the field that you're going into, then think about what makes you happy and what you're good at and explore that, What is the hardest thing I've ever had to overcome? So, I've been through my fair share of breakups. My parents are divorced. But I really think the hardest thing that I've been through was my law school anxiety. And I don't like to think back to it because I don't like feeling that way. But I'm healed and I'm through it, right? To where I can talk about it. Those were some really, really, really low days and tough times. Like, dude, rock bottom is just like the best way to explain it. And from the outside looking in, it seemed like everything was fine, right? I was about to graduate from law school. I had this perfect path all laid out for me and I didn't fucking want it. I didn't. And it just like, I ignored that for so long that finally it manifested in my body as anxiety and as a panic attack and me ending up in the urgent care waiting room just freaking out. Like I really truly thought, and if you've been rocking with me for a while, you've heard me talk about this, but I really thought I was going to die that day. Like I was like, this is it. Awesome. Like, how did I get here? It just sucked so much asshole, but I got through it and I knew I would get through it. But when it's happening, you're just like so like hopeless and you feel helpless. So that was tough. That was definitely the hardest thing that I've been through, but we all Gucci now, fam. Does the type of food someone eats play a role in body composition or just calories? So absolutely, the type of food you eat is going to play a role in body composition, because think about if you're like volume eating, you're eating like a ton of vegetables, your fiber is really high, that's going to throw off your digestion, aka you're going to be constipated, aka your stomach is going to be bloated and distended. So therefore your body composition is affected. Also, if you're eating foods that are like have a lot of sodium, that's going to cause you to hold on to water, so you're going to look more watery, more puffy, more bloated, even around your face and stuff. So absolutely, the type of food you eat plays a role in body composition. If you could make any food taste the same but healthy, what would be first? Honestly, it's got to be cookies. I have a sweet tooth, so like all desserts, but cookies are my jam. Like if any food could be like 0 macros, cookies. If you could give your 16-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be? There's definitely a lot I could say to her, but I think the biggest thing would be to just like be yourself even when you think that you can't or you shouldn't. Because I spent almost my entire life trying to fit in a fucking box and like acting a certain way to like please other people, like going into a room and chameleoning to like make other people happy and like impress other people, get their approval, get that external validation, right? And we see where that fucking got me. That got me in the waiting room of the urgent care having a panic attack about my life. So honestly, like just being yourself is always going to be best case scenario, because one, there's only one of you, okay? So you can't fuck it up. It's you. And it's effortless. All you gotta do is be. And it just removes a lot of stress and anxiety around like, well, I have to act a certain way for other people to approve me so I'm not rejected or abandoned, which is a lot of like very deep personal development shit that I've worked through. And I'm still working through, right? But it definitely feels way better to be yourself. That way the people around you accept you and love you for who you truly are, instead of you acting like someone else and having people around you who see you a certain way. Because then when you start to grow and you start to change and elevate, those people are used to seeing you a certain way and you no longer are that way, you no longer fit in that box, and they fall away. And that sucks, man. Losing those relationships sucks. But it is so, so worth it to come up here and attract your new tribe. It is so fucking worth it. What is a good program to get that helps you edit videos for YouTube and other platforms? So honestly, I just use iMovie because I have a MacBook and it's like, so it came with iMovie. In high school, I took video production and I learned how to edit on Final Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro is an investment, but you can do a lot more with it. So it just depends how much you want to like get into cinematography and videography. I think it would be dope to like make cool videos, but at this point, I just outsource that shit. I pay the professionals to do that because I don't have time to learn. But yeah, it just kind of depends what you're looking for. Favorite memories from growing up. So I would have to say, for some reason I've like thought about this a lot lately. I've just been like kind of nostalgic. I think with all this quarantine stuff, like for a second I was like, oh, I want to go home. And I'm like, why? Like my life is here. I need to be here, you know, running a business and taking care of things. But I was thinking about it. My dad and I, when I was little, we used to go fishing together all the time. And we used to ride bikes together all the time. Like my dad and I just have like some of the best freaking memories with him. And I miss him so much. He's back home in Kansas. But yeah, those are my favorite memories. Do you plan on coaching yourself from here on out? So for the foreseeable future and possibly forever, yeah, I like doing my own thing. I like having that freedom. You know, I worked with a coach for 2.5 years and I loved my experience. It was everything I needed. I just, after this last show, I was like, oh, I need to like learn how to trust myself and like be okay. Like I was afraid to not have a coach. I was afraid to coach myself, even though like I know what I'm doing, right? I coach other people, but coaching yourself is a whole different game. And I was really scared to do that. And so the way that I use fear is as a motherfucking compass, okay? Whatever you're scared of, do that thing. So I took a step back and I was like, okay, here we go. And like, I'm fine now. And I love having the freedom of like, cause I used to just be like, okay, I get one free meal a week. And then I got to the point where like it was too structured and like I hated like being so rigid. Like I just want to go to fucking Taco Tuesday and not use a free meal on it. Or like have a glass of wine and not track it as 30 carbs. Like I just wanted a little bit more freedom. And so over the last few months, I've been allowing myself to do that. I'll have like a little something untracked at the end of the day. And I find that I still like, I don't have the desire to have free meal after free meal after free meal. And even the free meals that I do take, which are typically still once a week, because that's how I'm keeping myself on track. Not because I have to, but I genuinely just want like one free meal. And it's usually like poke or sushi or pho. Like it's not like some like 2,000 calorie burger and fries and ice cream and donuts and pizza. Like I am a healthy person and I've developed habits over the years that have gotten me to the point where I don't desire to eat like that. So that's been a really cool transition. So yeah, that was a long-winded answer to, yeah, I plan on coaching myself. If I compete again, I'll definitely get a coach. But that's still an unknown right now. So other than your hour or so of training, are you pretty sedentary? So even before quarantine, when we moved here, I take a walk every morning. It's literally like a 10-minute walk. Just, I don't know. I like it. I like getting outside, just getting some fresh air before I make breakfast and start my day. And then occasionally I'll take afternoon walks a little bit longer. But I also did that when I was on prep. So working from home without those, yeah, I'd be like very, very sedentary. But I don't like being that sedentary. And I also find that, you know, walking helps with digestion, especially when you're growing and you're pushing a lot of food. So that's the extent of my movement right now. I'm also practicing shuffling, as you know, if you've been watching the vlogs. So that's another little form of movement. But that's like my level of activity right now. How has your journey of getting your menstrual cycle back going? So I have not had a period for quite some time. I'm working on getting it back. And I mean, I'm doing everything that I can, right? I'm taking my rest days, I'm hitting my macros, I'm eating enough food, I'm taking Harmony, which is a hormone balancing supplement from First Form, I'm doing my seed cycling, and it's just a matter of time, you know? So I do still get PMS symptoms, and I had those like all throughout prep. Like my peak week was like a PMS week because I was like, I could feel my hormones fluctuating just in terms of my mood, but also my weight because I was holding on to water because of hormones. So my whole peak week, I was freaking out because I was like blurry, right? And I'm supposed to be peaking. Like my body was not not having it. So I still get hormonal fluctuations. I just don't have a period yet, but I feel like it's soon. Okay. I keep having dreams that I get my period back, and we all know that I'm clairvoyant. So hopefully within the next couple of months, honestly, because I competed in November. Today's April 1st. So I would like to see it come back soon. But the first time I lost it, it took me a year to regain it. So, you know, I don't know. I think it's going as well as it can right now. I'm doing what I can, you know. How do you afford to live in San Diego? I'd love to live there. So yeah, it's no secret that California is expensive, but I don't like that word because then it puts you in the scarcity mindset of like expensive is unattainable, right? And here's the thing. If you want something bad enough, you'll make it work, obviously. And I know this is going to depend on your money mindset, and I've come a long way with mine, but I now know that like I'm always taken care of, right? The universe, God, whatever you believe in, always has your back. You are always taken care of. So anytime that you have thought like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for that, like you've always been able to pay for it, right? Or I don't know how I'm going to make that work. You've always been able to make it work. I don't know how I'm going to get that done. You've always gotten it done. So just know that you're always taken care of. But as far as like logistically budgeting things outside of the woo-woo, you know, save up your money. Like if you wanted to move here, save up your money, budget for a move, start looking at what it's going to cost. Like I started researching like how much does it cost to get a pod? How much does it cost to ship it? How much does it cost to ship my car? Which I did not ship my car, I drove it out here. So gas, you know, how much would it cost for gas? Are you willing to drive? How much is first month's rent at a place? How much is a security deposit? Another big thing, if you're gonna live here, get a roommate, get a freaking roommate because it makes it much more affordable. As far as groceries and stuff go, I did not notice like a huge disparity in price difference between here and Kansas. Obviously gas prices out here are more expensive, but if you go to Costco, same thing, like it's comparable to Kansas prices. I mean, it's still more expensive here, but it's not as bad as paying like $4 and something a gallon. So yeah, man, you put yourself in the position, you get your back against the wall and you make it work. Now, obviously be smart. Don't be like, I have $42 in my account and I'm going to move to California. Cause like, obviously that's not going to work. But yeah, that would be my advice as far as like moving here. San Diego's perfect. It is worth it. It is 5,000% worth it. Why don't you barbell squat? Well, one, because I suck really bad at it, but that means that it is an opportunity for me to get better, right? But barbell squatting just hasn't been a part of my training for the longest time because I do a lot more isolation work as a bodybuilder, but I used to be really strong at squats and deadlifts, and I do want to incorporate them again. So I would love to do that once I get back in the gym after quarantine is over. And honestly, squatting used to really scare me because I didn't know how to fail safely, but now I can, like, I know what to do without a spotter. Like, just have the racks on the side, and if I can't get back up, then I'll just dump the weight and like kind of crawl out from under it and like fail quietly and fail safely. But that was a big reason why I didn't do it for a long time, because squatting is pretty scary, let's be honest. How long did it take for you to start making a steady income with online coaching? So I started online coaching, it was summer of 2018, and I was going to graduate law school in December of 2018. So I started off with just like a challenge, like a group challenge that summer, and then I kept it up throughout that semester. Like I just signed on new clients, did like some group programs, and graduated December 2018. And then I was like, okay, like my original plan was study for the bar, take the bar, practice law until I could be a full-time coach. Well, my anxiety said, fuck that, you're doing it now. And so I was like, okay, I graduated and I was like, it's time to make it work. And I launched a group program and I made the exact amount of money that I needed to move out here. Like that was a whole like woo-woo manifestation thing. And ever since then I have been doing this full time, but I will say in the beginning, even when I first moved here a year ago right now, I was still doing some work for a lawyer like virtually. And then I also helped one of my friends, his name is Alex. I helped like manage his Instagram account and just like take care of back-end stuff for him. So it wasn't just coaching that was sustaining me. It was just like piecemeal, like pieces of income together. And eventually, you know, I got to the point where I had enough clients to sustain me. And then I started just launching new programs and things like that. And here we are now with freaking alignment. So yeah, I mean, I think I think it happened a little bit quicker for me just because I was like put in the position of like, well, you're not gonna be a lawyer now, so what are you gonna do? And I was doing anything I could to make money, like to make it work. And when you have that like rigor and like that urgency around what you're doing, you'll make it happen. What do you love the most about exercising? So I just love training hard and like moving heavy weight. Like it's so empowering, and like I would never fight anyone, but it's like, yo, if you see me lifting some heavy weight, like I have 6 plates on each side of the leg press, which is more than like some dudes do. It's like, oh shit, like she does not play around, which is like awesome because you're like, yeah, come at me, even though I would never fight you. You know what I mean? So I think it's just really empowering, and then the endorphins that come along with it, like you just feel so damn good afterwards, like especially when it really sucks, like you're not having a good workout but you push through it and you do it anyway, which is prep in a nutshell. When you do hard shit and you come out the other side, you're like, yo, I fucking did that, and it feels really good, and that translates into all other areas of life. Okay, last question. How to pose and feel comfortable / natural in front of a professional photographer. So, in my opinion, photographers should be like very easy to work with. Like they should pose you if you are not someone who is familiar with posing or with your angles. Now, granted, it is good to go into like a photo shoot setting knowing your angles and your good sides and things like that, but the photographer should be very open and like willing to give you feedback and like not get frustrated with you if you're not like, if it's just like y'all aren't coming together, you know what I mean? So the first photo shoot that I ever did was actually for a swimsuit calendar. I was in the Women of KU calendar, and I told the photographer up front, I was like, I've never done this. So like, is that okay? Like, is that gonna keep me from getting a spot in the calendar? Like whatever. And he's like, no, like we have tons of girls who like are not models, right? They've never done this before. And he was like super open and easy to work with. And he did, like when we were shooting, he made me feel super comfortable. It wasn't like creepy or weird at all, because I felt that out beforehand, obviously. And he was great. And we ended up doing a couple more photo shoots after the calendar when I still lived in Kansas City, and like I still like, he's like my fave, dude. He's so easy to get along with, again, not creepy, and creates great photos, and he's very easy to work with. He posed me and things like that. So I don't know, it's kind of a mix, but if you are going into this and you want to like own your shit, like know your shit, you kind of just gotta fake it till you make it. Like I don't know what kind of photographer setting you're talking about. I think it might be for a wedding. If it's for a wedding, that's like a whole different thing. But if it's like a photo shoot thing, right, it's about you, go in there and just in your mind, and this works with anything, just embrace like your alter ego, right? The alter ego is so powerful. So if I'm gonna go into a photo shoot, I'm gonna think like, I am a model, like I am a high fashion, like top model who knows her shit. She is unbothered, she is confident. And like when you are like doing certain poses, don't do it half-assed. Like don't be like caving in your shoulders and like, oh my god, like is this okay? Like I don't know. Like no, hit that pose, fucking do it, and be like, let me see the photo. And then they're gonna show you and you're gonna love it. Okay? Because when you go all out, like that's when shit works, not when you're just like kind of like whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense, but that is my advice for working with a photographer. And if they're not like easy to work with and they won't like pose you and shit, find another one. But anyway, that is what I have for you today. So I hope you're staying safe, sane, and healthy during this quarantine. And as always, if you watched until now, I am taking all my good vibes, I'm sending them your way. If you could give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell before you leave, that would be dope. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.